Little Lando Norris, Darth Toto, torrential rain, football in the garages, a career first podium, half points, no refunds, the shortest F1 race ever. Let's discuss Belgium 2021. And I included this picture of Pierre because I find his hair funny. Okay, so the Belgian Grand Prix was race 12 of that season and the championship is close. Lewis and Max, it's all to play for. And going into that race, Lewis was ahead by 8 points. So there's no messing around. Let's start with qualifying. So this was delayed by about 12 minutes due to the rainfall. We have Q1, Q2, and then Q3 comes and it's raining really badly. And the drivers are calling out on the radio, hey, delay the session, red flag the session. And they don't do that. But then what happens? Lando Norris goes off at Eau Rouge and crashes at Radion. And then you have the drivers like, well, we told you this would happen. You know, Sebastian Vettel literally said, well, what the fuck did I say? He goes in to check on Lando Norris, but the session after that does get red flagged. So the finishing order is Max Verstappen in pole position, George Russell in the Williams, mind you, in P2, and Lewis Hamilton P3. So then we get to race day. It's due to start at 3 p.m, but the rain, it's not letting up. On the way to the grid, Checo crashes his car, but because of all of the delays, they actually managed to fix his car on time. And then about 25 minutes after that, the race did start. Formation laps. We had 2 formation laps under the safety car, and then the race was suspended again at 5 p.m. In these delays, drivers were just doing anything to pass the time. If they weren't napping like Lando Norris, then they were playing football, having some food, drink, you know, playing with balls, other games, whatever. But 6:15 comes, so about 3 hours after the race is initially due to start, and we actually start from the pit lane. 2 laps were completed under the safety car, and these did count towards the racing lap, so remember that. And a 3rd lap was started, but essentially the race was suspended and it didn't start again. So the race actually ended pretty much in the same way it started, in the sense of we had Max Verstappen in P1, George Russell in P2 in that Williams, and Lewis Hamilton in P3. And remember what I said about, remember the fact that those 2 laps under safety car counted towards official laps? Well, the reason why it's actually important is because the rules at the time were saying that if less than 75% of a race distance had been completed, but more than 2 racing laps had been completed, then half points were given. So at the time, this was the shortest, and still it's the shortest race distance that's ever been raced in a Formula 1 race. I just said race a lot. 6.880 kilometers, the least number of laps, and the shortest race ever at 3 minutes and 27 seconds. But why was this race so farcical? So at the time, Michael Massey, race director, boo, he basically said that he had made a genuine attempt to go racing. I hate that term, but people were saying it was stupid because of the weather conditions. They shouldn't have been even out on track at all. And it was awful for all of the poor fans who were out in the grandstands, the cold, the wet. They'd been waiting in the delays, and people were expecting, we were thinking, you know, these people, surely they're going to get refunds. But did they get refunds? No, they did not. And the reason? Because they said that the racing laps had been completed. They forced those 2 racing laps, and in turn, they didn't need to give any refunds. Instead, they got compensation in the form of free F1 TV passes, I believe, and also an entry into a prize draw for the following year's Belgium Grand Prix. I'd be fuming, to be honest. But anyway, the rules after this were changed to say that for points to be given, 2 racing laps have to be completed under green flag conditions without a virtual safety car or a safety car, which didn't happen in this Belgian Grand Prix. And let's not forget the title fight. With them giving points, even half points, for a race that should never have even happened, it closed the gap between Lewis and Max. So Lewis, after this race, was only leading by 3 points to Max Verstappen. Yes, we got some funny moments from this Grand Prix, and George Russell got his first ever podium, but overall, it was a bit of a joke. It was all a bit too much.
And it's all too much for little Lando Norris. 21 years old. He just needs a bit of sleep.